Well, good morning, everyone. Hey, how's it going? You know what? And I'm looking right now, and there's some things like I usually don't like to have a sweater or a hoodie behind me. And also, I think I adjusted my camera a little too much this way. It needs to be a little more this way. I know that's like inside baseball, but that's how I usually set it up. But good morning anyway. It is June 24th, 2026. Welcome to the Blue Gear and Bluecast Morning Show. I'm your host, Adam Blue, 30 plus your video game enthusiast industry analyst. There's a lot of interesting stuff that has gone on. Well, not a lot, but a few little things that I didn't even talk about on Monday. And part of that being the Steam Machine release Valve's Steam Machine, where, yeah, the price, we'll talk about it in a bit. It's more than I would pay for something like that. And a lot of it's because I don't need something like that at all. And I think that's what most people are. Hold on a second. It looked like, that's weird, a secondary mic was coming through. So if you guys heard that echo, let me know. That concerns me because I wonder if that means Meld reverted something. It's funny how this show this morning has become troubleshooting. I actually spent most of the morning applying to jobs. I wasn't pulling a lot of data for the show. But let me check. Yeah, it looks like that was so weird that it did that. Because it wasn't like that Monday. But anyway, let's first dive into what I've been playing, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the Steam Machine. And again, on this scene, it did the same thing. There must have been some error with the meld, because it is, and then I didn't even mess with my hair. Okay. So, what have I been getting into? Well, a few things. Yesterday on the Gundam Explained morning show, I was playing the Wonder Swan color release SD Gundam Operation UC. It's actually pretty fun. It's super basic, but it's like by 2002 with those limited graphics, like how far can you go? And it's pretty cool. It's a retelling of the original Mobile Suit Gundam, also Zeta and Double Zeta. I just haven't got that far yet. It's pretty cool. So check that out on the Gundam Explained YouTube if you're interested. And then you know what? I jumped back into Metroid Prime 4 because that's one of those. It's like Star Fox is around the corner. I'm so excited. And it's like, you know what? I haven't even completed the other main Nintendo IP I really like, and that is Metroid. And the thing about it was funny, as I'm playing Metroid Prime 4, I have this funny feeling of how much it plays like Resident Evil. And it could be that's the wrong way to go about it. You know, the Metroidvania, what is that? That's where you're in a series of spaces that you can only progress by getting items that then help unlock the next step in your progress, right? And I would make fun of the Resident Evil, especially the new one, where it's like, oh, I'd be in this mansion and I have to find 3 cubes to put into a door for the door to open. And sometimes it's like, what? So I'm playing Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and I'm like, wait, this is the same thing. I'm in some arbitrary sci-fi looking area, and my laser needs to hit these 3 objects to then turn it on so then I can go to the next area. And, you know, part of it is like, yeah, obviously this is the gameplay. But I feel like some games are settling too much on the core without doing much more to it. For example, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. This one had trouble development the whole time. It changed hands. Most likely, this last version we got was a Band-Aid put together version. And there's a lot of analysis online that I think if you were to take an aggregate, it would look like that is, in the end, what happened with this game. It had the Nintendo tax, opposite of Xbox tax review, where I think people reviewed this game higher than it should have been. Again, this is Nintendo not developing it internally. They're just passing it around to third-party developers until it's like, okay, yeah, let's get this done. And, you know, for a series that almost defines Nintendo in a way, especially the mature audience. I don't think that's really the word. The audience that's growing up past Mario and all that. Yeah, yeah. I just playing it yesterday. I was so bored. What was I even doing at the same time? Like, I think I was listening to a podcast maybe while I was just because it's just like, yeah, walk over here, do these things, pull the thing down with your cable. Um, yeah, I don't know. It just, I think what came to me really was just playing Resident Evil Requiem and then playing Metroid Prime 4 and realizing they are mechanically the same thing. So, anyway, and then Mouse PI for Hire. This is a fun game, and I want to say that I'm only playing it still because of the graphics. Now, that might sound bad, but the game plays like a very well-made boomer shooter. I'm just at the point now where I've played so many that it's really hard for me to get into it unless it does something unique. And I think that it's almost telling of this Metroid and Resident Evil thing. These games are made for Metroid and Resident Evil were made for a mainstream audience. So at their core, they have like the very same mechanics that I kind of find a little bit boring. Mouse Behind for Hire is doing a little differently. Yes, it has those same core mechanics that everyone's familiar with, but it's doing it in a setting that's popularized by Cuphead, having that kind of old school looking animation that works well in a boomer shooter like this. And the reason I say is like if you think about when you played the original Doom and you killed a Marine and then their corpse is laying on the ground, when you would turn, it was like it would face you because that's just how it worked. That's how the graphics worked in that. It would have that tile, that pixel, whatever, pixel art that just staring is facing you, and it doesn't have multiple sides to it because it's not a 3D environment. And they do that in Mouse PI, but it's intentional. And it's really hard to explain, maybe, but it's funny how much Mouse PI for Hire is straight up a boomer shooter style. And again, I don't even like to use those words, but I think people get it when I say it. It's a Doom-like. It's very much a Doom-like without being boring. And I think for instance, I don't really care about the overworld map and driving to the next place. It doesn't even need to be there. I wouldn't mind if the game, because what it is you have the hub, your world, which is your office, and you've got a couple streets right out there where you can go in to the bar. You can go upgrade your weapons. But I think I'd be fine with it being one level after another instead of, okay, you come here and then you're walking around and then you're kind of talking, and that's fine. And maybe that's part of what makes it enjoyable for everyone. Because I will say, this game got good reviews. And it's almost the same thing with the Metroid Prime 4 and the Requiem, where, yeah, there's good gameplay at the core of it, but I feel like Mouse PI for Hire does more. I don't know. It's very interesting stuff. But I think that's all I did. Did I play some of the Thing remastered? I think we talked about that, and I might have played a little bit after. But yeah, that was my game playing yesterday. It wasn't too much, but yeah, there's the stuff. I'm really in, applying for different. I'm trying to figure out what I would want to do, not necessarily just jump back into what I've been doing, if that makes sense. But I don't mind that. I really don't know. I'm being very open. Okay, let's talk about. Actually, let me show you guys something real quick. I think I meant to show this Monday and I forgot. I made a dashboard to help me track, and maybe I show this, what games I'm playing, and this I'll have to kind of mess around with it. The reason I have retro game as Sonic 1 is because I wanted to go through and beat it with retro achievements enabled. Not that I'm trying to get all the achievements, it's just to be like, hey, I beat it. And then Shark's Counterattack, I might change that because that's the Gundam game I'm playing at the moment. I might change that to that Wonder Swan game. But anyway, this is a way for me to go and I was like, okay, what am I on track to play? And then it automatically will tell me what my next recommendation. So it's telling me that I should beat Marvel Spider-Man 2, which, you know what? That is a good idea. I haven't completed it. Someone made a tweet that was my exact same thoughts. They made a tweet. It was a picture of Spider-Man, but you're like Peter Parker in a building. And then someone's like, what did they say? They said, man, I need to jump back into Spider-Man 2. I haven't played it in forever. And then as soon as I loaded up into the game, I see why I stopped playing it. And it was because of these narrative-driven prestige, like kind of being like a God of War Horizon type thing, where it's like you have these moments where these characters are talking and like that's not what we're here for, even though I appreciate them wanting to do all that. But then we have these issues with bloated video game budgets, layoffs, and we kind of see, is that really necessary then at the end of the day? So yeah, there's my take on that. But I do want to finish it. And you know what? It's funny how much of a passive Spider-Man fan I am. Like, I like the idea of the superhero and the costume. It looks cool. And I don't know if that has to just do with being a kid and seeing that all the time. Because I remember I would watch that 95 Spider-Man show. And that was really cool. And the Sam Raimi, I'm a huge Sam Raimi fan. So when he came out with Spider-Man movies, it's like, what? I haven't really cared for the MCU films, but I love seeing different iterations of the costume. I like the costume that's going to be in this new one called Brand New Day. I don't know. I forget what it's called. Maybe that. But so the Spider-Man 2 game on PlayStation and PC actually is going to have that Brand New Day costume. So that will give me kind of a reason to jump back in, and I'd like to complete it. And that's the thing. It's not that I don't want to complete it. It's I want to. It's just I hate those slow talking parts. That's not what this game is about. Actually, it is. But anyway, okay, let's move on to the Steam Machine. I want to talk about this for a second because the Steam Machine price came out. No one knew. People were guessing between 500, 750, blah, blah, blah. I will say when I saw these prices, I was like, okay, yeah, that actually makes sense to me. It really does. Because the Steam Machine is not just a console. It's actually not just a PC. What the Steam Machine is a portal, and no pun intended, in order to play your Steam library anywhere quickly, conveniently. Convenience. That's what a lot of this is. This is convenience. Yeah, it could be that it's more expensive than it should be because of the RAM or some other stuff. I don't know. But let me put it this way. If you're someone that already plays PC games, you're probably not in the market for this for multiple reasons. One, it could be that you already have a good enough PC and you upgrade your PC. Like me, right? And it could be that you're technically proficient enough to then have your PC games play on your TV, like me. It's either a long HDMI cable, which I've done that before, but what's even easier is just using Moonlight on my Apple 4K TV. So my computer that's on right now, I'll go into the living room, turn on the Apple 4K TV, go to Moonlight. I have a controller that's already in there that I pick up and turn on that's wirelessly connected to this PC. And from Moonlight, I can launch into Steam Big Picture mode, and I'm playing, and there's no lag, and it looks fantastic. I've learned from the Stadia era that you can cloud stream games, and they look fantastic. Maybe I'm lucky in the area I'm in. Some services haven't been as good as others. Like before, Xbox Cloud wasn't too great. Before, PS Remote Play wasn't too great. Stadia was the best at the time. Now they've kind of evened out. There's no more Stadia. But so that aspect complete. Now, let's say you've got someone with an older PC with a huge Steam library, and they really want to just play in the living room. They don't have time because maybe they have a job that's busy, that keeps them busy and family, but they have the money. And I think people on X don't realize this market exists. People on X are generally gaming enthusiasts that have the time to post online all the time. And a lot of times, this is because there's other things going on that are just not as important. And I don't know how to put that in a eloquent way. The audience this is for is generally not on X, and Valve knows this. Valve knows what audience exists out there. It's the same audience that's buying all of these gaming handhelds. You realize how many Lenovo, ROG Ally, there's so many, they keep making new ones because they keep selling. And this is priced in that same ballpark, but someone, all they need to do when they take the Steam machine home is plug it into their TV, sign in, and they're good to go. Because a lot of times people on Twitter are like, well, I can build a mini PC like that. It's like, sure, you probably could, but it's not going to look like the Steam. It's going to be bigger than the Steam machine. Even if you found a small case, you're not going to get the same specifications. You're not going to get a removable faceplate. You're also going to have to install the OS, and then you're going to have to get the firmware, and you're going to have to, for whatever hardware you have. The Steam machine bypasses all of that. And that's what this market is for. That's why I think it's hard for gamers on X to understand, yeah, this isn't for you. This is just like the Steam Deck. And the other part of this too is I don't think people realize nowadays how much gaming is a pastime and more than just a hobby or an enthusiast activity like it was back in the day. So with people that might be doing it for fun, as a hobby, but they're not like an enthusiast, this makes sense because for very little convenience, they can plug in their games and start playing. So here's the thing. I'm not going to buy it, but if I happened to, I'm trying to think the last big thing I bought. So, the PS5 Pro. So I just bought a PS5 Pro. And the main reason was because of playing PlayStation exclusives. That's not something I'm going to be able to get out of a Steam machine. And even if PlayStation kept their games on Steam, or the future games that are to come out, they wouldn't play as good as on a PS5 Pro. And as a gaming enthusiast, it makes more sense for me to get a Pro than a Steam machine. Again, the Steam machine isn't offering me anything new as a gaming enthusiast. It is, though, offering a market a convenience to get to their Steam library quickly. And I don't think most gamers and people that talk about the stuff, and I know I keep saying on X, but unfortunately, X is the main focal point of gaming discussion. I tell you guys, I know this is so weird. Oh, I think I know what it is. I have the secondary camera that, again, this doesn't make sense, but for some reason, it wants to use the mic on that. So again, I apologize if earlier in the stream I was like, I'm just looking at the thing and I'm like, why is it picking up? I never told it to do this. I'm actually going to remove the source so it doesn't bother me anymore. There we go. All right. Yeah. So, it's very interesting conversation. So if I go on X, someone's like, I think this is super reasonable ground approach to Steam, blah, blah, blah. Someone's saying that, I think, saying stuff like, their first gaming PC. But that's not who this is marketed for. This is marketed for people that have already have a PC gaming collection. Small form factor, sure. Yes, Steam games will have games specifically optimized for it because of SteamOS. That's the other convenience factor. The people that just want to be able to play their games, just play, you don't have to worry about all that other stuff. Can still be used as a PC again, but the market is not looking for that. And then what was one of the replies? Saying, if we're honest with ourselves, it's not worth $750 either. Now, if it was $750, maybe, but still, the only purpose would be to play my PC games in my living room, but I can already do that. So that's why this is a very specific thing. But when you have tech enthusiasts that are looking at it that don't have that much money to spend, then they feel like they're being positioned out, but they're not. Because the tech enthusiast would build their own machine to do this, or like me, use Moonlight on their Apple 4K TV. So I think a lot of people are paying for the convenience you simply can't get anywhere else, including if you are to build it yourself, because you literally can't. So again, you can build something that's like a Steam machine, but it is impossible to actually build the Steam machine in the specifications that it is in, including the case. And he said there could be a whole host of reasons someone might convince themselves of getting a Steam machine. Perhaps they would only play indie games on it. If that's the case, they could get an even smaller mini PC that's even cheaper. And again, I feel like most people on X are actually missing the point of the Steam machine. This is for people that have acquired a PC gaming library, but they are not in a position to constantly be PC gaming, but they want to still game. And the Steam machine answers that. We're in that time now where people are busy and gaming is now a pastime. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting because most of the talk of the Steam machine is completely avoiding and again, it's almost like this self-reflective echo chamber where people on X speak to themselves as if they are the only market these companies are looking at. And that's not true. They are definitely, and I did that the other day. It was like last week. I aggregated a whole bunch of data from different companies, different social media discussions, and it was the same thing I did with Gundam. So I have a video up from earlier this week where I was talking about in May, a Gundam movie and a Star Wars movie came out. And even though the Star Wars movie made more money, if you looked at the social conversation of what people were thinking, it's kind of different than what turned out, because people are like with Mandalorian, who's this for? Who's going to see this? Like that was the conversation. It made a lot of money. It didn't make as much money as Disney wanted, but you can see that there is still a market there, Anyway, I find all this stuff very, very fascinating. Okay. Was there anything else? Was that all? I know the other big thing that's going on right now is the GTA 6. I think just this morning. Yeah, like 3 hours ago. Let's see. On the 25th, which is tomorrow, you can pre-order GTA 6. I'm not going to pre-order it, but I'll be getting it since I've got the PS5 Pro. As a gaming enthusiast, I'm really wanting to see, because there was already something that even said Sony made sure this game's going to run better on PlayStation than Xbox Series X, but then you also have the Pro, so of course it's going to. But as a gaming enthusiast and someone that primarily plays on PC, I'm really interested in seeing what the big mainstream console title. I don't even care about Grand Theft Auto. The most I played through, the last one I played through most was 4, and you think, well, we're just at 6, so that's only a couple. Well, you know how long ago that was? Wasn't that like over 10 years ago? When did GTA 4 come out? And I didn't even beat it. Yeah, look at that. Almost 20 years ago. I didn't even beat it. And then I remember 5 came out. Me and my brother played it. It was like PlayStation 3, I think. Isn't that crazy? And then we got the version for the Xbox One or PS4 or whatever. I forget what. Wow, and now we're at PS5 and all that. It's kind of crazy to think. Part of it is just for me to get visibility into that very mainstream zeitgeist layer of video gaming. And this kind of speaks to the whole Steam machine thing in a way, because Grand Theft Auto, at least for me, and at least the gaming circles I follow, people usually don't generally care about Grand Theft Auto. Again, it was fun before, where it was like, wow, free roaming. I remember that was the term, free roam. Before it was like open world. It was like free roam, open world. You can shoot up things, go crazy, have fun. And that was neat when that happened. And I think what's going on now is they're doubling down, especially from the last one, because this was that same time period, the same way that PlayStation was making these prestige narrative-driven games. They were doing that with Grand Theft Auto. And for me, Look, if I want to see something like that, I'd go watch a movie. When I'm playing a game, I just want to play, you know. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on that. But yeah, and there's not much else. You know what I can end with is Friday show should be good because uh, if I'm not mistaken, Star Fox drops tonight at 11 p.m. Central. And I can't wait to play it. But I might be asleep by then. So that would, you know, I'll play it tomorrow. I'll play it Friday show. Unless I'm wrong and it really doesn't come out until Friday. But no, I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. Yeah, expect some gameplay Friday on that. So, all right, guys, I'm going to head out. That was it for today. I'll be back on Gundam Explained tomorrow. So until then, have a good one. See y'all.